Hello everyone. So this is the third lecture on the chapter moving charge and magnetism. Today we will discuss two applications of Ampere's circuital law. Yesterday in the previous lecture, in the second lecture, we had one application of Ampere's circuital law, and today we will discuss the other two. So solenoid. What is a solenoid? A solenoid is a cylindrical coil. Okay. So when you have a wire wounded in the form of a spring, what you get is a solenoid. You call this as a solenoid. Now you can see these dotted lines are like behind the page. Okay. Again, this is a 3D figure. Now current is entering through this end. Okay. Current is entering through this end, and here on the face which is above the plane of the screen, here the current is flowing downwards, right? And behind the plane of the screen, the current is going upwards. In these lines, in the dotted lines, the current is going upwards. Now if you apply the right hand thumb rule, okay, so the fingers curl along the direction of the current. Yes, the fingers are curling in this manner. You see, the fingers are curling. This section is behind, this section is representing this, and this down, this fingers are representing this. Okay, that means current is going in the downward direction. So this is the right representation of right hand thumb rule to understand the direction of the magnetic field. So we know that inside a bar magnet or inside a solenoid even, the magnetic field lines go from south to north. This is to be remembered, and outside it goes from north to south. All right, outside the solenoid or bar magnet, the magnetic field lines goes from north to south. So the thumb, the direction, if you align your fingers along the direction of the current, then the direction in which the thumb point will show you the north pole, the other will be the south pole. Therefore, I hope it is pretty obvious from here that this is the north pole of this solenoid which is behaving as a magnet. Alright, this is the south pole. Now to find out the direction of the magnetic field inside the solenoid by using Ampere's circuital law, we develop this diagram. Okay, so in this diagram you see these are the boundaries, these are, say, these lines, these boundaries of this solenoid. Okay, and since the current is coming outside from these points, all right, and it is entering through these points, all right, so entering we are representing by cross, and coming out from the page we are representing with dots. That means the current is flowing in this manner. All right, so accordingly your magnetic field is along this way. This is the direction of the magnetic field. All right, now we consider a small section A, B, C, D. We consider a small section where P is a point which is at the center of the solenoid. All right, now the length of A, B and C, D is say L. Okay, that we have written over here. Now if you apply Ampere's circuital law, because we apply Ampere's circuital law in case of a closed path, right? So here this ABCD is a closed path. Therefore, closed integral B dot dl will become, will break this closed path into four integrations. Integral B dot dl for A to B, this is for this path only. Then we have integral B dot dl for B to C, then integral B dot dl for C to D, and finally integral B dot dl for D to A. Now since BC and DA, okay, you see for this BC and DA, they are lying perpendicular. These paths are perpendicular to the magnetic field. Yes, and therefore, or you can write down like for BC and DA, magnetic field is perpendicular to the length, small length. Now this total length is L, right? So these small lengths are DL, sorry, this length is DL. Therefore we integrate or even in this section, not this entire length, I should be saying rather, these small lengths are dl lengths, alright, and therefore we integrate b dot dl. B dot dl means integration of dl will give this entire length. So here also these length elements, small length elements, these small length elements, they are perpendicular to the magnetic field. Therefore we can write on B perpendicular to dl. And so these two parts, like this was for BC and DA, right? This one and this one. Okay. So integral B to C B dot dl equal to integral D to A B dot dl. In both the cases, you can write down integral B dl cos 90. Now you know that cos 90 value is 0, and therefore these two will vanish. These two will vanish. Also, outside a solenoid, magnetic field is 0. Okay, B equal to 0 outside a solenoid. Therefore, this C to D section, integral C to D B dot dl is also 0. So what remains from this equation number 1 is integral B dot dl equals to integral A to B B dot dl. Now you see AB and B vector, or this length AB and B vector, they are along the same direction, right? And therefore the angle between them is 0. So you can write down that integral B dl cos 0 degree. Okay, the limit is A to B. Now cos 0 value is 1. So here you have integral B dl, alright, and on the left side, now there is a catch here. Now in Ampere's circuital law, the law says that closed integral of B dot dl equal to mu naught I. Okay, now if there are n number of turns, alright, then it will become mu naught ni for n number of turns, right? And that n number of turns, total number of turns is represented by capital N. Now in this situation we have total number of turns is number of turns per unit length. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. Like total number of turns is number of turns per unit length into total length, or you can say number of turns per unit length is total number of turns divided by length. So we'll be using here mu naught ni equal to integral B dl, okay, and mu naught nli, because value of capital N is nl, equals to integral B is constant magnetic field. Integral dl is what? Integral dl is length of this part AB, which is L. So B into L, and therefore you get B equals to mu naught ni. This is your relation. B equals to mu naught ni, where n is the number of turns per unit length. N is this number of turns per unit length. Okay, I hope this derivation is clear. Special case, first case. Now here we are not going through the derivation. Okay, this is being shown very briefly just for your application part. While doing numericals, you will be using these relations. Finite length solenoid. Then you have infinite length solenoid, and near one end of the solenoid, infinite solenoid. Okay, that is the third situation. So in the first case, from the midpoint, the point P that we have considered previously, from there you consider two angles, alpha towards this left end, this angle, okay, this angle is alpha, and this angle is beta. Okay, now magnetic field is along the right, fine. So for this you'll get magnetic field at P. The relation for magnetic field at P will be mu naught ni divided by 2 sin alpha plus sin beta. Okay, again we are avoiding the derivation for this part. This is not important. Okay, if interested, you can go through the reference book, then we can discuss in a separate time. So this is the relation for magnetic field at a point P when these angles are mentioned, or you can say that this is the general relation at a point P inside a finite length solenoid. Now if the solenoid is of infinite length, that means these length, I mean the solenoid will keep on extending, right? Will keep on extending up to infinity. Then if I just show you one angle like this angle alpha, isn't it increasing? So for this case only, the space that we have in the screen to show you, for this case only you can notice very clearly that alpha increases. Now if this particular point goes up to infinity, right? So this alpha can go very close to 90. Similarly, beta can go very close to 90, right? This particular angle beta can go very close to 90. So in case of an infinite solenoid, alpha is equal to beta equal to pi by 2, and therefore your relation becomes B inside, okay? Magnetic field inside an infinite solenoid, that becomes, now sine 90 plus sine 90 is 2, so 2 and 2, this will cancel, right? So your relation which will remain is mu naught Ni. So this is the relation for magnetic field inside an infinite length solenoid. The third situation is near one end of the solenoid, near one end of the infinite solenoid. Now one end means you get this point P either on this side or you take this point P on this side, okay? Say in the figure here we have shown it to be here. Now if P comes here, you see alpha will become 0 and beta will become 90, isn't it? Now this is infinite solenoid, again you have to remember, okay? For finite solenoid of course this will not be 90. For infinite solenoid, beta will become maximum 90, I mean it will become very close to 90, we are considering 90, and alpha will become 0, okay? You have to think about it a bit. This is I mean you have to imagine this thing, how this alpha is becoming 0. Like this point and this point is coming over here, then this angle, say if I get this point here only, if I get P here only, then isn't alpha decreasing now? See, if I get this point here, or say P is here, then alpha is even more decreasing. This is alpha. So if you get this point here right below this, then alpha angle will become 0. So in that situation, alpha equal to 0 and beta equal to pi by 2. So if you apply that, B end, magnetic field at one end, mu naught Ni divided by 2 is what we get, right? Because one component will become, say sine beta is 90 and sine alpha is 0. So 90 means sine 90 is 1. So it becomes mu naught Ni by 2. So this is the relation for magnetic field at one end of the solenoid. Now you see magnetic field at one end of the solenoid is just half of the value of the magnetic field in the inside, which was mu naught Ni. So this is one more relation. Now if you plot a graph between this magnetic field and length of the solenoid. Now in case of a solenoid, we consider this center P, right? In general you will be considering this relation, like infinite length solenoid will be the general relation. I mean this is the general relation. Okay, so this point P is the origin. Towards the right this will be length L, towards the left this will be length minus L. Okay, so therefore in the graph you have towards the right you have up to L by 2, towards the left you have up to L by 2, because I made a mistake. Okay, it should be total length is L, then towards the right it should be L by 2 and towards the left it should be minus L by 2. That is more appropriate. So you can see here that at the point L by 2 magnetic field is half of what you had at the origin or at the center. Okay, and we have it here like at the end means say from here to here this length is minus L by 2. Similarly from here to here also this length is L by 2. So at these points your magnetic field value is mu naught Ni by 2, which is half of this value, which is half of the magnetic field at this point. and therefore you can show at the origin magnetic field is B, and as you are approaching towards L by 2, towards the end of the solenoid, it has fallen to B by 2. Okay, if you go outside, the magnetic field will further fall. So this is the case of solenoid. I hope you have understood. Even if you have any kind of confusions, you can write to me. Okay, we can go to the next one, that is toroid. So toroid is just an endless solenoid. Okay, endless solenoid. You see, it becomes like here you have, of course, a pipe. You can imagine a cylinder, and cylinder is connected end to end. Okay, now you are allowing the current to pass through in this manner. The current is passing through in this manner. Now this part is behind the page. Okay, again this part is above the screen. This part was behind the screen. Now again it is, current is entering through this. Now here you'll have behind the screen, then again the current is passing through this manner. So all you can say is that here you have dots, here you have dots, these are the region of dots, and since current is entering here, so these are the region of cross, right? These are cross, not dots, these are cross. So the simpler representation is this: here you have dots, here you have cross, these are all cross. So the current is entering this way, right? So if you apply your right hand thumb rule, you see that fingers are pointing towards the direction of the current. Okay, these are the direction of the current. If you place it here, say here for this region, so in such a case magnetic field is upward, so B will be this way. From the center, B will act this way. Say you consider a small length dl. Now this entire length will be 2 pi r, right, which is total length. So a small section dl. So dl vector and B vector are acting along the same direction, and therefore the angle between them is 0 degree. Okay, so straightway we apply Ampere's circuital law. Now what is the total number of turns in case of toroid? Total number of turns, that is number of turns per unit length into total length. Okay, number of turns per unit length into total length. Okay, so what is the total length of this toroid? That is 2 pi r. That is the circumference, isn't it? So capital N is equal to small n into 2 pi r. Okay, now applying Ampere's circuital law, which is integral of B dot dl equals to integral B dl cos 0 degree. Okay, because the angle between dl vector and B vector is 0 degree. So you can write this as integral B integral dl. So total length is 2 pi r, right? So B into 2 pi r, total length of the, or you can say perimeter of the toroid or circumference of the toroid. On the left side you have, now here you are applying the Ampere's circuital law directly. The relation is integral B dot dl equal to mu naught I in general. Now when you have the total number of turns, then you'll apply mu naught total number of turns. We could write capital N, but I am writing down n into 2 pi r directly. Okay, so total number of turns into I. Alright, so after solving, what do you get? B is equal to mu naught Ni. So this is a relation. B is equal mu naught Ni. Okay, now this can also be written in terms of, if you want to include the total number of turns relation like capital N directly, then this relation will become, because the value of small n is what? Value of small n is capital N by 2 pi r. So it will become mu naught Ni divided by 2 pi r. So this is the other relation for magnetic field in a toroid, inside a toroid. Okay, so I am closing this lecture here. I kept it very short intentionally because these are a little bit confusing. Okay, just as the way you could understand atoms or modern physics easily, these sections are a bit difficult to understand in virtual classrooms, because this right hand thumb rule and next Fleming's left hand rule will come. So these are more convenient while explaining face to face. Anyway, you can send me your confusions. Thank you. Closing for today.